Well, breaking right now from Camp David, the president welcoming Persian Gulf leaders to a summit on cooperation in the region. It's getting underway this hour with 6 Gulf nations represented. 2 heads of state from Kuwait and Qatar are there, the others sending chief security deputies as the president tries to ease concerns about any nuclear deal with Iran. General Jack Keane is a retired 4-star general, former vice chief of staff for the Army, and a Fox News military analyst. So, General Keane, I'm curious about this part of the summit, and I'm going to read this from the story we have. Obama is expected to offer some increased military aid. What could he offer these countries that they don't already have?
Well, certainly these countries have robust finances and they can buy what they want, but he can give them some of our specialized missiles. We can do some joint military exercises. I mean, the only thing that they would ever want from the president at this summit is an absolute security guarantor that the United States would protect them, much as we have that same deal with Korea and also Japan. But that's not going to happen.
Why not? Why wouldn't that happen?
Well, the United States will not make that commitment to do that. And number 2, I think the deal, Jenna, and the summit itself, what it's exposing is how serious the disconnects are with the Gulf states. Much as Netanyahu came to the United States and exposed, as a result of that speech, the serious disconnects he had and Israel had with the administration over this nuclear deal. This is exposing these disconnects. And at the heart of the disconnects, they've been dealing with Iran, Jenna, for 35 years. It's U.S. policy that they believe are contributing to their security risk and why now they have a serious disconnect with the United States. U.S. policy is driving a nuclear deal under the impression that Iran will eventually come into the community of nations and behave normally. The Gulf states believe that is naive and also reckless U.S. policy.
And so what's at stake with that? If the Gulf states do feel that way, and that's the way that they're going and approaching this summit, then what's at stake right now for the president to achieve potentially over the next several hours, or change in policy? And why would that be important, for example, to appease Saudi Arabia over, let's say, Iran?
Yeah. He's not going to be able to ease the concerns, as you said at the introduction. You know, this was announced, the summit that we're having right now, when the Iranian nuclear framework deal was struck. So he immediately knew when he struck that deal that the Gulf states would have a problem with it. He already knew the Israelis would have a problem. Isn't it odd that our strong allies in the regions are the ones who are objecting vehemently to this nuclear deal? He will not ease their concerns, Jenna. They're going to walk out of here knowing that U.S. policy is increasing their risk in the region, and therefore they will have to act on their own. And that means increasing their capability to a nuclear threshold like we're leaving Iran, and nuclear proliferation in the region. And they know that's inherently dangerous. These are not stupid people. They know this is a volatile region that could lead to the first nuclear exchange in the history of the universe. They don't want any part of that. But they know also that the United States is not going to change this lousy deal that we're signing up for.
So we'll see, again, that deal in the works right now, the negotiations taking place. While all this is happening at Camp David, General Keane, there's another story that got our attention by our great crew over at the Pentagon. And this story is that there was a Singapore cargo ship going through the Strait of Hormuz. Some Iranian boats went ahead and tried to get it into Iranian waters. When that ship refused, the 5 different Iranian boats fired at this cargo ship. That cargo ship goes into the waters of the UAE for protection. The UAE is at this summit. We've seen Iran do this over the last several weeks, use its ships, whether it's cargo ships, to go to Yemen or try to take the Maersk ship that it did over the last week or so to hold because of some lawsuit allegedly. What do you make of those actions by Iran? And if you're the UAE watching all of this and you're at Camp David, what do you say to the president?
Well, I think it's quite a coincidence here, isn't it, that the Iranians are taking this action in the Straits of Hormuz, stopping shipping again and willing to fire on shipping when the Gulf leaders are meeting with the President of the United States. This is Iran flexing its muscle, making sure that everybody understands they are a dominant power in the region, and they're going to continue to do that, and they're going to gain in influence if left up to their own devices. I suspect this will force the Pentagon to reevaluate how we're going to guarantee shipping moving through the Straits of Hormuz, put our ships back in there, maybe get some cooperation with the other Gulf states also to assist in doing this. We've had problems with the Iranians before. We've had to sink some of their ships that come out to do this, these patrol boats, and then finally they get the message and stop this activity.
Well, it makes you wonder about that country that does that. Having a nuclear weapon. The spokesman for U.S. Central Command telling Fox News, we are aware of the situation between a commercial vessel and Iranian patrol craft in international waters that occurred today. We have no other information at this point. So we'll watch for news out of the Pentagon on that. General Keane, always nice to see you. Thank you so much.
Good talking to you, Jenna.